an amazing venue. You performed at the Toksugun Palace.
Yes, that was so beautiful. So particular feeling to be playing in such a beautiful place. Not only beautiful for what the eyes could see, but what it means. And the history that we could imagine. The beautiful goings and comings of the people there, in the history.
I'm just trying to imagine, though, what the acoustics are like in a setting like that, though.
It's amazing, because sometimes you play in an open space, and you say, okay, there's nothing to really reflect the sound. And to hear what you're doing, or to hear what your colleagues are doing, like in a normal, let's say, musical theater. And in reality, sometimes it sounds just better. Like, for example, some other castles I've been playing in Europe, the first times I was scared, or was like, my God, is this going to be possible to hear or not? And in reality, very often it is. And I don't know if you noticed, but I was amplified. With a particular, simple but very efficient system. And this, of course, guarantees sometimes, but it needs to sound very natural, because otherwise, better not to do it.
Were you happy with the way it sounded then?
Oh yes, oh yes. That's good. I liked a lot also how it sounded with the people. You know, effectively. So it's
I'm actually surprised to hear that there are so many guitar pieces available.
Oh yes. Oh, yes. You know, the guitar is a very popular instrument, and the so-called classical guitar has been developing more and more and more since Segovia, let's say. But in fact, this is a very old instrument, and since, let's say, beginning of the 19th century, with this form, because before it was a little bit different. In the 19th century, it got transformed. During the 19th century, it became a bigger instrument, louder, etc. So there is actually a lot of very good players and a lot of good performers all around.
What exactly is a classical guitar? There are different types of guitars available, aren't there, out there? But what defines a classical guitar?
Well, you know, words are very often putting borders to things that they don't really exist, this border. But we could say that a so-called classical guitar is this instrument that was finally established as dimensions and by Antonio de Torres in Spain in, let us say, late 19th century. But in fact, the French builders and one Italian builder that was living in London, whose name was Panormo, and this French Lacotte and some others, Italians and Austrians and Spanish people, were making a lot of experiences with dimensions and with forms, etc. And finally, with a lot of, let's say, research and deduction, how could people work at this time, they arrived to this model. And we could say that in our days, variations are still going on, because people try always to do more of this or less of that, and something like this. And let's say that these 6 strings, nylon strings, are, let's say, the elements that are used for the so-called classical guitar. But there are variations, like, nylon. For example, 7 strings or 8 strings or 10 strings or...
But the strings have to be in nylon? Because there are...
Yes, in fact, in the 19th century, they were organic strings, like in the violin also, etc. And for the basses, also for having more resistance, they were always, let's say, helped by a coat of metal, different kind of combinations of metal. And sometimes people were using also a first string, like famous Agustín Barrios and Miguel Llobet and Segovia and others at the beginning of the 20th century. They were using sometimes a metal string here, just to have it a little bit louder, etc. But the sound was so different that they were damping it a little bit with something. And in fact, for nowadays, we could have nylon basic and nylon inside with metal around, or we could have another kind of material that is a kind of mix of nylon and we say carbon, but it's not carbon fiber. It's kind of, the name is KF, etc., etc. There are a lot of possibilities.
And every established guitarist has his or her own style of playing too?
Yes.
What is your style?
I don't know. My style is like me or like you. It's very personal. It's not something that maybe the others could define it better than ourselves. But of course, each one of us has, let's say, tendencies or particularities or interests or passions that put us to go in this or that direction.
I also read about you that famous contemporary composers are actually writing guitar pieces for you.
Yes, some of them.
Yes. So why do you think they love your music so much? Why do you think they want you to play?
Well, because they are nice people. I think so.
In addition to that, and there must be something in the way that you play that pleases them.
I think that the music is like in personal behavior or in personal relations. The way a composer could be stimulated to write for somebody, or to write something, or to write for an instrument, or all this combined, depends a lot on the empathy, on the relation, how the person could perceive, maybe this guy could play this piece in the way that I would like it to sound. And all is possible after you play it, and then maybe the composer says, no, it was not like this. Or he surprises, this is better. Everything is possible. No? But for us, it's a very, let's say, a rich experience, which stimulates to discover new ways, mostly, not principally, but mostly with composers that are not guitarists themselves. And then we need to find new techniques and new ways to put up this music that the person is putting that in there.
Do you find challenge in
yes.
that task? Yeah?
It's a marvelous thing in life.
No, you also teach students, so maybe I could ask you this question. What makes a good guitarist, do you think? Obviously, technique is not going to be everything.
No. In fact, this is a very, very long question, and the answer, I don't know if it is not longer or never-ending. But a good guitarist must be a good person, must be a good soul, must be a curious person, must be a humble personality, always trying to learn and discover, must be a very autocritical personality, just to discover where you are and how to get better. And it must be somebody that through music discovers the language that could be possible to express with this instrument or with another instrument. I mean, the most important instrument is the idea, or the ideas. So what makes a good guitarist is probably, if you want to reduce something, is maybe curiosity and love.
Curiosity and love.